Hey, sixth grade. How's it going? Today it looks like I am dressed like some sort of sports newscaster guy or something. So, anyway, for today, while we're working on math, it is going to be about lesson 5.6 using graphs to represent ratios. And just like always, it seems like we have two learning goals for today. So, you need to make sure that you get these in your notes so you're prepared for class tomorrow, and just so you know what you're going to be working on the next couple of days. Okay, so here's learning goal number 1. I will graph a table of equivalent values. I will graph a table of equivalent values. And you guys make sure that you pause the video so that you have enough time to get that written in your notes. Okay, your second learning goal for this lesson is I will read equivalent ratios from graphs. It says I will read equivalent ratios from graphs. So to get started, we are going to review graphs and some of the important terms that go with them. Make sure you get these terms in your notes. The first word we're going to cover is title. Title, like the title of a book. In sixth grade, all graphs must have a title. Otherwise, how are you going to know what your graph is about? All graphs have a y-axis as well as an x-axis. So here's the y, here's the x, and it has to be labeled as y axis, and you have your x-axis right there. Make sure you get that in your notes. All right, another important word is, I'm not sure why I just rolled over there, another important word you need to know is interval. All right, intervals show how many of something is between each mark. And so, on the x-axis, you've got your intervals, counting whatever it could possibly be, whether it be gallons of gas, miles driven, whatever. It depends on what the problem is asking. You also will have intervals marked on the y-axis as well. And so basically, we just use intervals on the y-axis as well as the x-axis to show what kind of information our graph is showing. All right, so we are going to take a look here at a girl named Stephanie on page 354 in our books. Don't freak out because I know you don't have the page with you. I'm going to put it up here on the screen. Okay, so here on page 354, we have a little tale of Stephanie, and good old Stephanie is driving her car to college at the rate of 50 miles an hour. That's kind of slow, but don't tell anybody. The table that's up here at the top, that is showing the ratio of time compared to distance, the time in hours compared to the distance in miles. So, what in the world? Anyway, so every hour she drives 1 hour, means she covers 50 miles. Okay. Next, down below our table, we have a model of our double number line, which we have been using quite a bit. In sixth grade, the double number line is just showing the same data as the table up above. So, this one, the double number line, it keeps right on going. You have 0 hours and 0 miles, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 and 4, just like it shows on the table up above. I would like you to pause the video, take a moment to draw the double number lines, and then I want you to keep filling them out. We stopped at 4 hours and 200 miles, so what would come next? 5 hours and how many miles? And so on. Go on ahead and pause the video so you can draw your own double number lines and finish labeling them. Another way that equivalent ratios can be displayed is in a graph, or on a graph rather. So, and also on this graph 6th grade, you will see the terms that we just talked about being used. For example, when you look at the graph, you see the title right here at the top, Distance Driven by Stephanie. So we know this graph is going to be all about how far Stephanie drives. The Y and X axis are both labeled. They both are labeled with their distance, with what they represent. So the y-axis is representing the distance in miles. The x-axis is representing the distance in time. So now we need to take a look at the intervals on our x and y axes. The x-axis, that is split up into 1 hour increments. Every 2 lines on the graph equals another hour. So you have 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4, and so on. The y-axis is labeled in intervals of 50 for 50 miles. You have 50 miles, 100, 150, 200, and as you can see, and so on. All right, so let's take a look at the labels that we already have on the graph, and then you guys are going to have a chance to fill in the missing labels, the missing intervals, whatever. So you will have to sort of somehow carefully draw a graph of sorts. Don't worry, I don't expect it to be perfect or to scale or any of that. Just do the best you can. But I would like you to take a few minutes to finish showing how far Stephanie will drive in 5 hours and 6 hours and so on until you have your graph finished. And once you have it finished, you'll bring it with you to class tomorrow, and we will talk more about using graphs for our equivalent ratios then. All right, I'll see you all in class.